And so going into 28, remember Hoover was inaugurated, and it was just feeling that prosperity. But Hoover had that prosperity. Here's Hoover getting inaugurated, lots and lots of top hats here. And here's Hoover. The idea is Hoover's just going to get to work. And people have all these favorites, but he's just going to do what's best. He's a hardworking man, which, yes, he was. Now we could, just because you're hardworking doesn't mean the work is good work, but you're hardworking. Because a lot of people are going to disagree with the way Hoover worked. But this feeling that this prosperity will go on forever. But don't forget, there were two big speculative speculative bubbles. And ironically, this is something that it's hard to measure today, whether or not when you're in a recession. It's really hard to do. And that's one of the reasons why it's so confusing with all now the bank issues are spreading to Europe. We don't know if this is just a blip that can be corrected or something bigger. We just don't know when it's happening. One of the biggest banks in Europe just had to be bailed out, and so we just don't know. It's usually with high interest rates, things like that. But here we have, you remember there's the speculation in real estate that was still going on. And here's actually the sale for a car company, a brand new car called the Eagle. They had the Model B. I picked this one because guess what's going to happen to the Eagle car company? Not even bought by it. It was just dissolved. They shut their doors. A lot of them would be bought, but the recession had already started that time. And so Hoover had just been inaugurated, and the recession's going on. And the amazing thing about that is, people don't know. And even when prices start to drop, and people are this kind of grumbling that perhaps companies aren't doing well as people think, the speculation just keeps going. And in fact, it almost becomes a desperation. If you're not making as much money from your companies, let's say, speculation becomes even a bigger way to make money, a way to make up the difference. In 2007, the recession began. If the crash wouldn't happen until 2008. The biggest boom in the stock market was in September 2008. Biggest boom in the stock market here was September 1929, and the recession had already been going on. I know it doesn't make sense, but remember, it's hard to know, and there's one other thing going on. Yes. Maybe, yeah. That could be deeper than the Titanic. Yes. So while this is going on, we have a bubble. Now, this doesn't always happen. Of course, it didn't happen when I was your age, because there was regulations that made sure these kind of bubbles would not happen. They're almost all gone now. So we're kind of in the same boat. There's a stock market bubble. And here's the very handy to follow margin rules. And all we need to know about that is we have margin. And this was encouraging. Oh, the real estate bubble burst. And when that Florida real estate bubble burst, you have a lot of people losing money off it, and banks losing money. So they're both trying to make up the gap in the real estate values dropping. I should add that there was still a real estate boom in, let's say, big cities. Los Angeles was exploding in real estate at this time. They're just in the process of trying to steal water from every place they can because there's so many people are moving in. And New York was going through a real estate boom. Helena kind of was too. Not quite as big as New York City, but there's a bunch of houses that were made in Helena in the late 1920s, and then none until 1948. Literally, like maybe a half dozen. So this real estate boom, weren't making as much money, but we had the big tax cuts, so the stock market boom. And the banks pushed it. They pushed people to borrow money on margin so they could make up their losses they had in the real estate boom. And there were some banking regulations, but nobody really followed them. And we have, maybe we can see that every time you have kind of a weird hodgepodge of rules. You can find a lot of loopholes. It's easy to get around them. It happened today, it happened then. And debt skyrocketing. So you get this weird situation where you have people who have a lot of wealth, but they're assuming I'm gonna have even more wealth tomorrow, and they're leveraging that wealth, using the wealth they have to borrow massive amounts of money. So they're taking that tax cut. Real estate didn't quite work out. Now they're buying stock on margin. Remember, you only have to put down 10%. That encourages great amount of speculation. And banks, when they do this, you might be thinking, wait a second, how could a bank, here's the Florida boom, and I like the alligator biting the public. After this happens, how could they invest in the bull market here if I were to run over people? That's a good cartoon. Don't forget, banks are corporations. And so remember, corporations, you're risking other people's money. So that encourages the people who work in a bank, the loan officers, to make more loans because it's not their money. And even if the bank goes under, they don't want it to go under, but even if the bank goes under, they still got their paycheck. They don't have to give that bank back. Remember, limited liability. The investors in corporations are only liable their stock. All their other debts, who's liable for all the other debts of a corporation? The corporation, the entity. So for example, once again, this literally is just happening now. That Silicon Valley Bank that went under with some just amazing things that they're avoiding regulation, doing things that are very risky, and some other things that are out of their control, but doing very risky things. Their CEO in the last 2 years made $30 million. The bank is done. It shut its doors. The stockholders lost everything. That CEO gets to keep every penny. So that's why they made these loans that might seem a little risky. And no, the CEO did not want the bank to collapse. But that encouraged him to take risks that he knows, I'll still have my money. I'm still fine. So back to this. Debt's going up. And we're leading up to the stock market crash. The height of the stock market was in September. Now, this is a measure of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is the ratio of the 30 biggest stock trading companies on Wall Street. It's a very crude measure that people use all the time. And it's a ratio of the volume of stock being sold, the value of stock, the number of sales they have in an hour, all those kind of things. It's very crude. Don't read a lot into the total number, but let me find something right now. So you can go online. I did this right now. So the stock market went up to about 381 was its height. It's just a ratio. Right now, at this moment, I just typed it in because it's now recorded continuously. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is 32,179. Then it was 381. Don't read a lot in the number. It's a ratio of the amount. And there are other measures of the stock market. Some of you might have heard. Standards & Poor's is an accounting firm, but they do the top 100 stocks and the S&P 100 or the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is actually up 40. It tanked yesterday. So it's up 1.18%. Worldwide stocks tanked. So it's kind of going back up. We'll see, that is not a good measure of the economy. That just tells you speculation. But people are gambling. They're gambling like that. Now, I, like a lot of your parents, my wife would have some money in the stock market and funds. And so, for our retirement. So I kind of look, but it's best not to. It's best just to let it go. But that's the height. The panic had already started. And so they're trying to make up the difference. They think, okay, it's going to be momentary, but there's one more thing. Remember when I talked about the boom and the boom bust cycle? How long do people think the boom's going to go on? So that euphoria just goes on. And there is a euphoria about making money without work. Don't get me wrong, actually planning and doing the stock is a lot of work, but it's not the same as like building a factory. Sure, you have to sell them. And the problem is, let's say you sell them when the stock market's going up, sure you make money, but let's say you sell them at the same time everybody's selling. Go down the price. Now, some people got out right here. You know, it's a lot of luck. You know, they got out. A good example is Joe Kennedy, who made his money off some financial deals, shipping, and bootlegging. And he would become so rich from that that would fund basically his family's wealth to this day. His son, you might know him as John Kennedy, president of the United States. He kind of rolled the die and got out. Now, of course, he's going to say, I'm a genius. Well, yeah, it's gambling. The stock market's kind of like a big casino, which is kind of scary thinking about that's some of my retirement. Moving on. So, beginning September, there was no rules on companies reporting their real profits. They lied all the time. Yes, they lie now, but there are rules that they're enforced. And profits were dropping. And here's the thing. Most people, when they buy stock, they want the profits for the companies they buy stock in to go up. Then the value of the stock goes up. They can hold it and get a little bit of money back if they have a stock called the dividend, the profit. Or if a company is getting profitable, making a lot of money, other people will want that stock. That's when you sell it, because if people want it, the price will be up. Make sense? What's happening? The prices go down. People started selling their stock. Prices begin to drop. That's what it's shown by this ratio. But then we get what's called the suckers market. It rebounds again. Think if you're a speculator, you think it's going to go on forever. This is just momentary. Prices are dropping. What should I do? Buy, because the price will go back. There's actually a couple different suckers market. Suckers market, suckers market, suckers market, suckers market, and rock bottom. So with that, let me give a couple crashes in. On October 24th, though, that suckers market collapsed. Black Thursday was a crisis. Just a crisis. Stock values dropped. People started selling like mad. The telegraph lines that issued the information about it were so overloaded that people had a news blackout, so they panicked even more. A terrible crash. So it's right here, and that's the big crash. Then we have a little bit of a blip up, and then that weekend after Black Thursday, the government came out and reassured. President Hoover went on the radio. So did the Secretary of the Treasury. Who was it? Andrew Mellon. That was the bonus question. Andrew Mellon came out and said, there's nothing to fear. The fundamentals of the market are strong, because there's a herd mentality. When everyone starts selling, you can imagine, I got to sell now because tomorrow will be even lower. Everything's fine. Have confidence in the market. The banking system is strong. If you have a savings account, don't go nuts and pull it out because that'll lead to a panic. Don't worry, everything's fine. While this is going on, Andrew Mellon has already told his broker to sell everything. But he's telling the public to not panic and not sell. Need to know anything about Andrew Mellon, anything about what kind of person he was. That should show you everything. What a pretty horrible thing to do. So what was he doing to the American public? Lying through his teeth, but also knowing that if they don't sell, he'll make money before crash. That's pretty awful. Now he saw it as, hey, I'm smarter. AKA fraud. Yeah. There's some vibes of it. Student stocks values that go literally pennies to nothing. So my grandma had a bunch of stocks. Not much, just a tiny little stock, actually, but significance from that crash. not like it would happen. The only problem is when she moved the last time, they got lost. That would have been a really cool thing to have a couple of. So Black Monday hit. Black Monday stocks went down, but it wasn't quite, it was pretty bad. But then here's the biggie. Black Monday was bad. But then the next day, everybody's panicking. The stocks started going up. There was more buying. People thought, we made it. And then all of a sudden, the place just exploded in fear. And this is the big crash, Black Tuesday. So we basically had 3 of the biggest stock market losses in history. But the biggest would be Tuesday. Now, it started up doing pretty well. Everything's fine. Yay, we're all going to get rich. And then fell apart. Did I write that down? And soon the cry went. In fact, that became the joke. Sell, then sell. Then everyone, just sell as quickly as possible. Sell now. And they're on the floor. Traders are scrambling each other, tackling each other, trying to find people to buy. If you've ever seen the stock market or the commodities market, it's insane. Just people selling and buying and yelling and screaming. Yeah, if you don't know what's going on, it looks just like it's a brawl. It looks like a barroom fight almost. The stock market's crazy. The commodities market in Chicago literally looks like a barroom brawl. You expect chairs to come out. Well, this is a ticker tape. Ticker tape was about this long. It'd be a little printing machine. It'd be on the telegraph line. And they would send out information on the telegraph line. They had this little machine that would print out the stock values. Now, to print them out fast, and the fact that it took a lot of room on the telegraph to print out this, they only had 3-letter little symbols for all the stock companies. And that legacy is here today, even though we don't have this ticker tape anymore. If you look at stock values, the companies all have 3-letter little initials. That's from this. And they would read this. So you sit there and you read stock values. And so they're reading this and all price. So all these stockbrokers around the country are reading this, or New York City, and they're getting from their traders on the floor. Okay, stocks are going up. Then going down, going down, going down. And then the line stopped. There's so many trades and so many sales that they overloaded the entire nation's telegraph. So just imagine, you're like, okay, it's going, and then nothing. What would your first reaction be? I'm going to take a nap.
Punch someone in the face.
Maybe not that, but hair on fire panic. And that's when it just fell apart. Same thing's going to happen when with the new computerized system in 1987. It overloaded. Today, when they had the big stock market crash 2 years ago, when COVID first really hit, they have computer breakers where sales get to a certain point, they cut off all sales. Try to keep them from crashing. For this very reason. Can you imagine? Like, ah! So 60 million shares were sold in about 3 hours. 15,000 miles of ticker tape was printed on that day. That's what a ticker tape parade was. So they had all this ticker tape and they would save it. And then when they have a parade down Fifth Avenue for like Charles Lindbergh, they would throw this ticker tape out and it would go in these long streaming lines. And so that's where that comes from. And so now when they have a ticker tape parade, they don't use ticker tape anymore. So they make long strips so they can act like it's ticker tape. On this happy note, tomorrow I'm trying to decide. It's part of a video I want to show, but I also got to finish the crash. I'm going to decide tomorrow. If you're going to be gone tomorrow, come up and get the summer assignment. The summer assignment. That's summer assignment. Oh yeah, you're skipping. Okay, so the ones with asterisks, they're the ones you just can put. Oh, just put the basics on. This is also the extra credit movie. Extra credit movie. Just put the basics on for the ones with asterisks. The other ones you need a little more detail. And this is from either chapter 26 of America. 25 of the review book has a lot of it, just not as much detail. Oh yeah. We got to do a lot more work on our own just because we got big topic. Not a lot of it is on the test. So you get the basics of it. I'll tell you what you need to know. And the atomic bomb and Japanese internment is the biggest on the test. Then we move on. Where are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be in Spokane
Why?
with the choir.
Oh, choir, yeah, I knew that. Astrid is the basics. This one, the ones without Astrid, more detail. There's the movie.
Okay, thank you.
And the actual World War II thing, that will be due on the Tuesday after spring break.
Okay.
So I'll give you like one more day to ask questions. We'll go through the class and the movie the day of Monday.
Okay, thank you.
See you Monday.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
And you're leaving too. Where are you going again?
What an Arizona.
Yeah, going to Arizona because you. Oh yeah, sister's gonna be gone too. He hasn't told me. Huh? Yeah, you're a good kid. Who would like to take a quiz? No. Let me get the quiz. I'll get started. I'll get back to you right now. Sound good? Are there any questions from the reading? I'll be glad to answer them. So the stock market tanked yesterday. The world markets tanked last night, and the stock market today is going up. We are truly riding the wave. I envy you. Yes, I've been into it. That doesn't mean the economy's strong or weak, but. Are there no questions? You just want to do the quiz? Are you that excited to do the quiz? You guys gotta calm down. 25 minutes from when everybody gets it. I will start the timer then. I don't have a timer. Just gonna tell you, yeah, you got about 5 minutes left. But try to get down 25. Sound good? No questions? Everyone happy? Sheet of paper on the edge, in the margin, as far over as you can get. So you can write on the inside, so just right near the edge of the paper. Put down 1 to 18. That's where you can do the matching. Completions all caps, 1 to 18. So you're right along the edge of the paper. paper so you can write on the inside, so we can go right there on one sheet. But yeah, you got the little plastic edges. Maybe I have, but you can. 1 to 18, and that's just the matching. And I'm gonna give you 2 points. I know. I'm getting soft in my room. Right? No, you're supposed to say, no, you're not. All right, here we go. So. I made a list of 18 matches and realized that's a lot in one group. So I turned it into 2 groups of 9. But then I accidentally got 2 answers mixed. So the answer to number 9. The answer to number 9 in the first column is actually I in the second group. Yeah, just put down I don't know what you mean. And so I mixed up 2, and the other one was the answer to number 10 is actually D in the first group. So just put those down. You can put a dot or something. Yeah. Sound good? D, I. It's basically just magical. Now it's going through like, oops. Oh well. You know, life goes on.